Oh my gosh, this is so different sitting outside and just talking to the camera. Like somebody's expecting me to give an interview and all the neighbors, like all this, the whole house is watching me. But that just happens every time because then all of a sudden you sit outside and you have to talk to the camera. I have split the questions into a few categories, which is philosophy, solo travel, and reality, money, a bit about my personality, and my dream life and the future. I also have all these questions here on my phone because there's no way I can keep up with my thoughts and not just get distracted by anything. Because I know myself, if I start talking about coffee, I'm gonna end up talking about opening a coffee shop, opening a thrift store, traveling to Bali, Indonesia, talking about weather and how I want to get a dog in 10 years. Yeah, this is how chaotic I am. Do I think I'll ever settle down? Honestly, I am not sure at all because I have met many solo backpackers, women approaching 40s, and they said they have been the same like me. They couldn't see themselves stopping. Then eventually they said they just got tired of being unsettled, and it sounds to me like a nightmare because I love being unsettled and just not having a plan and always be free to change the direction of my life at any time. Why don't I want a normal life? It's just so boring to me to live in the same city, to see the same walls, same gym, same nature, same people. Yes, some little things can change, but in reality, there are a million of things you can do and see. And right now, this is the century, literally the decade, where it hasn't been easier before to travel. Even if you don't have money, travel became so affordable that almost everyone, there's my old neighbor, Granny, that's watching me right now. This shit happens all the time. Yeah, it has never been easier to travel affordably than right now. You just need to learn English and save a couple of $1,000s, and then you can just go and volunteer and stay in the hostels for free and make tons of friends around the world and then continue traveling with them or coming to the countries. It's crazy. I did that all, and it actually works like people are saying, but it can be of course intimidating, but I'm gonna get to that later. What's my biggest dream right now? I cannot select one dream, honestly. I have many dreams. I have too many projects, in fact, that I wish to achieve, but I have to kind of narrow it down. One of them would be opening a coffee shop, let's say in Indonesia or Philippines or Thailand, somewhere in Asia. One of them would be to becoming really great at the sport that I want to master, which is tennis. I think my biggest dream right now, which is realistic. I'm not talking about, I really want one guy to just go away right now. He's like right here, listening to what I'm saying. I mean, I get it. If I saw a YouTuber in my country, like sitting there with the camera talking, I would also be watching because like you don't get to see that often. It's not LA. We don't have YouTubers at all in Lithuania. So it's kind of weird and also interesting to see someone in the playground literally look at this. Thank you. Like this is where I'm sitting. So, okay, the dreams. I think number one, which is my biggest goal for this year, is to organize group trips. And first of all, I don't want to charge any money for people that are coming. I just want to make it free of charge, like social meetups, camping meetups, hiking together, bringing people. And I know there are some apps like this, like Trip BFF, but I barely found any travelers there, and I'm sure many developers are making apps like this. But when you have a social media powers, it's way easier to just bring these people to one country and then hike together, camp together, and have fun together. So that's my biggest dream and goal for this year. And one of them is going to be in Kyrgyzstan this September. I already have around 100 people interested, and around 30 of them are actually interested. And it's going to be super fun because I don't think they have ever seen such a big group of people with backpacks coming at the same time all together. And another dream, if for example I started making big money on YouTube, I would really want to get a captain's, like a sailing boat captain license. Only takes 10 days to get that. It's around 1,500 euros. And then I just see myself living this life like a pirate, you know, standing behind a wheel and just like giving this orders and working as a team, and then thinking what to cook together or where to like stop the sailing boat and just go and have fun on the islands. I really see myself doing that. But right now I just cannot invest all my money that I have left into that. And of course, oh yeah, fuck yeah, my biggest dream is to become a great YouTuber. What I mean by great is have like, I don't know, at least 100,000 followers. It's just a stupid number, but I don't need millions. I think if already 100,000 were watching me and liking what I'm doing, liking my personality, then I would win this game. And by the way, yes, I have all these questions, but I never thought how I would answer them because I just wanted them to be spontaneous. So now that I'm reading them, I'm like, holy shit, this is hard. Like, what country changed me the most? It's literally so deep. I don't think it changed me the most, but it changed my thinking about how affordable the travel can be, and that you can always make excuses unless you actually buy a one-way ticket and go. I'm gonna try to make this story short, but when I was coming to Turkey, I was working in aviation, so I had free jump seats, so I was flying there a couple times a year, and I was staying in this hostel called Be Bold. And truly, at each experience when I was coming there, each one of them was so different. Sometimes it was lonely, I was not talking a lot to the people, everybody was just by themselves, and sometimes you had the greatest groups there. Like you would go to the patio, or how do you say patio, and you would meet like a bunch of people from California, Russia, Sweden, Australia, and all of them are chatting and inviting you to join. So this is another thought that's coming into this conversation, is that you shouldn't make the opinion about the country or the city purely by that single time experience that you had, because problem could be even the people in the hostel and just the wrong timing or wrong weather. So when I was there, I met a guy he was working in Silicon Valley. He sold his company and his house, and he was just traveling around the world. And he had this kind of weird thing that he couldn't have a feeling of love. He had his family, but he didn't love his daughters. And then I was talking to him so philosophically, so interestingly, that I even forgot that I came there to swim in the sea, to look at the mountains, to read my book and enjoy the sun. I was literally staying in the garden and having these conversations. So he sold his house and he was heading to India, to the biggest rave, so he could kind of like start feeling love again. Then there was another girl from Siberia. Oh, this was so weird. My neighbor was just passing me and I pretended like I didn't see her, because if she started talking to me, then it would be just, you know, a whole weird thing. So there was another girl from Siberia that had only 1,200 euros left in her bank account. And she was still backpacking the world, and she didn't have a ticket back to Russia. And I was like, how can you do this? This is like one salary in my country. And she was like, well, I'm volunteering here, so I don't have to pay for accommodation. I have food here as well. It's cheap in Turkey, so whenever I have like a couple of hundred left, I'm gonna buy a flight ticket back to Russia, and I'm gonna go find a job, work as an English tutor, earn a couple of thousand again, and go to Southeast Asia. And I was sitting there like, you can do this? Wait, hold on. I already had like 5K saved in my bank account. And I said to myself, it's not enough. It's not enough for me to travel the world like safely and freely and everything. And that girl, she just was hustling with like 1,000 left in her bank account. The last one was the 18 years old guy from Germany who was hitchhiking from Germany to Dagestan. And he already was in Turkey. He came there just by using other people's help. And he was already heading to Dagestan. He had a plan to use the train and everything. And I was looking at them, and they all kind of sounded a bit crazy, but also so inspiring to me that I was like, fuck this. I have to make a deadline for myself. And once I reach 10K, I'll quit. So I calculated everything, and my departure date was kind of September. And then I followed my plan and I left my country in September. And I bought a one-way ticket to Tenerife because that's where I confirmed my first volunteering experience. What was even the question? Again, I'm talking so much that I forgot which question am I answering. Oh, what country changed me the most? So yeah, I would definitely say that Turkey just pushed me actually to go for it, because otherwise it will always be not enough or not the right time. What place felt more like home? I definitely know a quick answer to this. Bali. And mind you, I was in the USA when I was buying the one-way ticket again to Bali, even though I knew it's kind of like overhyped. It's full of influencers and stuff. It's expensive, that's what I heard. But then I was like, where else should I go? I was considering Japan, but I knew I would spend a lot of money. And then once I found a cheap ticket from Hawaii to Bali for around 300 something euros, I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go and check myself. And it changed everything. The musicians there, in general, the music culture there, nobody's talking about it. Every YouTube vlog that I watched about Bali, after I've been there for 6 months, they all show you different beaches, different jungles, volcanoes. They talk about the coffee shop industry there, but nobody's mentioning the street musicians there. They are incredible. Almost all of them start playing when they're young. They all have guitars, they love to sing, and the voices that I've heard there have been one of the best voices I've ever heard. And it's actually a completely different story how I ended up spending 6 months in Bali, because it was not in my plan, it was not in my budget, because I was not volunteering there. I just got on my second day in Bali. I went surfing by myself. I rented the board. I didn't know how to surf well. I only tried a couple of times. And I was like, I know how to do this stuff. So the board just cut my leg in the ocean so deep that I almost lost my leg. It was big, massive wound. Like, I'm not gonna go into these details. Anyway, I spent 4 months recovering after the serious surgery that they did to my leg to save it. And I decided not to go back to my country, which would be better for my recovery probably, because there I spent around 3,500 euros for like wound care and visiting hospitals and all that stuff and getting medicine. But then I was like, if I can just stay in Bali and enjoy the sun and the ocean and everything that I still didn't see because it happened on my second day, it'll be way better rather than just flying 30 hours with my leg cut to the bone on the plane back to Lithuania and spending thousands of euros to get here back and not see Bali. Maybe it was stupid, but it was one of the best decisions I've made. So I stayed there for 6 months, and then I enjoyed the island so much. I made so many local friends. It was awesome. I saw all the hidden spots. We vibed so much. We went to different coffee shops, different beaches. They showed me hidden waterfalls. It was amazing. So I definitely think that if not the visa situation, that it's hard for immigrants to stay there long or get even a job, it's impossible, then I would have stayed there longer, because I might answer another question is, where do I want to live? And that was kind of my goal, to travel so much and visit so many countries that I would get the feeling where I would like to settle, or where I would like to buy at least an apartment and have like a second base there. Because I have never been in Colombia, I've never been in Sri Lanka, I've never been in Australia, and I still have so many places to check out. And the only way to actually feel the country is to stay there longer, which is at least 3 months, I would say. And that's how I really got to feel that I loved Bali and Indonesia in general so much that I would always come back there. I would open a business there for sure. Okay, maybe not the best idea. О, мама! Я видос снимаю. Смотри, вот моя камера. Ну ладно, я иду дальше, потому что у меня тут нон-стопом это идет.
Давай бусюку, и я пошла.
Я так много говорю, что вообще, мне кажется, тут час буду стоять.
Ну, стой.
Okay, really obvious question would be what country disappointed me? And honestly, please don't hate me, everybody who lives in Europe. I would say that Europe is kind of disappointing to me in general. I have spent, I would say, 15 years traveling in Europe each summer with my mom on a budget. So I visited almost every country. And when I came back to Europe after traveling in Asia, I was like, whoa, this is so unaffordable. This is so like not connected. People are so by themselves. I mean, I know you can say the same about America and stuff, that people are not like, there's no backpacking culture there like it is especially in Southeast Asia. You know, you come to the hostel, nearly everybody has this 60-liter backpack and everybody's solo traveling there and they're all in their 20s, 30s something. And then you get to know so many people and travel together. Whilst when you come to Europe, it's all about like drinking hostels. And I noticed that none of them want to like go and explore together or go on a hike. They just all go to the shops, to the cafes, restaurants, and then eventually in the evening they just go to these like pub crawls. So to me it's just so like, I'm not connected. I'm like this jungle child, you know, that just wants to be wild and free and wake up at 5 a.m. and go and find that volcano and drive a motocross and rent a tent and sleep and wake up by the lake and then swim there. And I don't know, just Europe is not my vibe, and realizing I really don't want to live in Europe, especially, is becoming super overpriced. If you go to the simple restaurant, you're gonna pay at least 20 euros for like pasta and stuff. And whilst if you are in Bali, you're gonna have the best salmon ever for just like salmon, what I have to clarify, the bowl of salmon for 3 euros, 4 euros, you know, the best coffee shops. The coffee beans are amazing there. They truly know what they're doing there. And all the locals, they learn English there because of the tourism. And so it's really easy to connect to locals there and speak to them and know more about the culture, vibe with them, have conversations with them. So I would say it's just like Europe is a little bit more disappointing to me. Okay, have I ever wanted to quit traveling? And I can combine that with, do you get tired of constantly moving? And what's the hardest part about backpacking? You see, I don't think it is for everyone, especially if you love comfort. If you are the hotel girl who just doesn't appreciate being wild and free and careless, I don't think this is your vibe. But if you are just scared because you don't know how to use eSIM, how to get the internet, if you don't know how to book a hostel but you still want to do it, then it's your vibe, then you can still go for it. And the thing is, everybody's saying, okay, how can you be backpacking alone around the world? Like, aren't you scared? Aren't you lonely? Don't you want to have friends? Like, don't you miss your family and all that stuff? But I'd rather do that than just sit at home and then regret that I haven't seen the world and I haven't done things when I was young and free. So it can get lonely, but the thing about backpackers in general is that we travel alone, but whenever we come to the hostel, we always find people to talk to. So it's not even a problem. It's kind of like a perfect scenario because you get to choose your own places to go, things to do, where to stay, but the moment you enter the hostel, you immediately make friends and you're not alone anymore. And then you can even continue traveling together. So it's not like you're always alone. Nearly every time that I come to the hostel, I have conversations there and I talk to people about life or about traveling experiences. We share some tips, we talk about movies. Like, you never get to be alone. Even in the airport, when I was sitting and my phone was dead and I don't know, something happened to my charger, I asked like this Indian girl, hey, maybe you have like a type C, blah, blah, blah. She was like, sure. And then we started talking, you know? So actually solo backpacking really gets you out of this alone zone because there are so many situations where you have to talk to people and you can really become extroverted. I myself became really extroverted. I was already extroverted a little bit, but I can also be introverted if needed, you know, if you know what I mean. But then I was not scared of asking anything from anyone, talking to anyone. It's just like, hey, what's the time? Hey, where are you from? Hey, I like this, I like that. You become a whole bubble of conversations. And have I ever wanted to quit traveling? Absolutely not. No. And I don't think I will ever think that I want to quit traveling. because I never travel fast. So I don't think that you can get tired of traveling. If you're changing hostels every day, yeah, it could be exhausting. What's with that bird? But if you're traveling long term and you stay in one hostel at least like 2 weeks, no, you're not gonna get tired. Have I ever felt unsafe? Yes, but that was not during the traveling. That was when I was living in London. I was going alone. What's with this bird? I was going alone after the nightclub, and then one guy just started dragging me on the street. It was like 4 a.m. I was alone, a beautiful dress. That was my mistake. Never walk alone after the nightclubs. I don't know why my girls left me there, but they just didn't care. And then, oh yeah, what am I saying? We've been to India this year. I think I should change the location because this bird is just not letting me do my stuff. We've been to India, so the first... Bro, are you kidding me? So yeah, we've been to India, and once we arrived to New Delhi and we took the cab to our hotel, we never booked hostels there. The guy dropped us on this main street that looked like Old Delhi, where all the people were still outside. There were no women at all, and we just saw like all this mess, the cows and everything, like the trash, like people walking, watching who arrived by the car, watching who arrived by the cab. And I was so intimidated to walk on that little street where he couldn't drive us, because I literally thought that somebody's gonna just kidnap us like this. I read stories where they kidnap people and then they ask for money from your parents and stuff. Like, I was just, I was being cautious and careful. So when we were walking with my friend in India to our hotel on that street, maybe 100 meters, I saw, I don't know why, but they were like African kids with the tissue in the mouth. So the mouth was open and they were sleeping on this, just like on the ground, with open mouths and the tissue inside of it. I got so scared when I saw them because we were walking like this, just fast, just get to the hotel. And then you see these kids like lying right there. And I got so freaking scared that I was just like, oh my gosh, if it's gonna be like this is gonna be crazy. But then of course it became better. We got used to this. We saw that it's just chaotic. Like, there are so many people there living their lives and they don't really care about you. And of course we were being safe, trying to be careful. And we're wearing something to cover our hair, or I was wearing sunglasses so that they don't pay attention to like my eye color and stuff. We were trying to just blend in. So yeah, that was also a scary moment. Oh, and the Central Park. I would say that when you choose the cheap flight tickets, you kind of arrive at night. It's always the deal. You arrive either very early in the morning or very late at night. So it really depends. If you can spend money on taxi and you're not scared of driving alone, you can do that. But also it's not safe. Like, driving alone in India was not safe for me in the car. I had like one accident, but that's another story. And I arrived to New York from Europe, and it was my first night, maybe 1 a.m. and I used the metro to get to the Central Park because that's where my capsule hostel was located. And I was walking and I remember the stories and the scenes from Home Alone, how like homeless people or like drug dealers sit in the Central Park. And I walked there with the massive backpack. Obviously I cannot hide my phone. Obviously they know that I've got everything on me, my passport, my money, everything. If they just take my bag, like, I'm done. And I was walking there super conscious because there's nobody on the street, which is even scarier. And I see these people on the right side in the Central Park. Like, I'm rushing like straight and I'm checking my phone because I don't see where to go. I need to check the location, and I see these people on the right side and I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't kill me. Please don't kidnap me. Please don't rob me. Please. I was just like walking straight. I was like, please, please, please. That was one of the scariest shits in my life. Okay, these questions, I have too many of them, honestly. How can I answer? Let's just think of what are the most important ones. What's my weirdest hostel experience? I didn't know. Nothing comes to my mind so fast, except for there was one guy from India in Bali, and he moved into our room, which was big mixed room, like 10 beds and stuff, and he just kept looking at us. He just kept like pulling out his curtains, and he would like look from the above what we're talking about and just like look at us, straight to us. And we were like, okay, well, back then we hadn't been to India, so we didn't kind of know like about the cultural like factors. So I later on just discovered that it's really normal for them to stare at you, like they all stare at each other and it's fine. But then he was staring at us, and then he was like, always he would close his curtains, and whenever we would enter the room he would open them and just look at us. If we went somewhere like after the corner and talk to somebody else, he would like come like this and look at us. So like we tried speaking to him, but he was not that open. And then he would always like kind of like follow us. And then we were in another location in Bali, quite far away from our hostel, and then we walk on the beach and then we see him. That was like really weird. I don't know, maybe he was right, maybe I don't know. Oh, the money topic. Okay, that's important. Where should I put my camera? But the sun. Oh, there's my brother on the balcony. Shit. Okay, how do I afford traveling? I think this is the key of this video, because I don't have a remote job, I don't have rich parents, and I don't have like the apartment that I sold and I got all the money. And my country is one of the poorest countries in Europe, so that's a major factor to consider. Because if you live in Germany, it's way easier to save a big chunk of money there than Lithuania. And I started working here and I had like a salary of 700 euros. And basically I spent like 3 to 4 years working in Lithuania full time, trying to move my salary higher. And so I ended up earning around 1,500 euros, something around that, and saving around 1,000, maybe a little bit less sometimes. So I had this Excel file where I was like, okay, this month I can save 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So by the end of the year, I'm going to have 10K. So I agreed to myself that when I reach the 10K, this is when I'm going to go and travel. And that's how I did it. But I mainly knew that I'm not gonna last long on 10K if I just go and spend it on hostels and on food and cafes and everything. Even if I go to Asia, I wanted to see more. I wanted to go to Africa and Japan and America, and I knew it's not gonna be enough. Like, come on. Like, I'm gonna spend it like this in 2 months on just flight tickets. So I followed some TikTokers that were showing their daily life volunteering at World Packers. And so I researched more and more. I was trying to find some YouTube videos about them to see how legit it is, because I met some people that were doing that already in the hostel, and they were like, yeah, we're using World Packers. This is how it works. This is your profile. You apply here and that. And I saw like, okay, more and more people that I meet are actually proving me that it's legit, it's working, and I could do it too. So I just created my profile and I started applying like half a year before my deadline of departure. And that's how I started traveling. I went to Tenerife and I spent there 4 months volunteering in a co-living and in a hostel on the black sand beach, very remote location, super cool people, amazing hostel, one of my best experiences there. The volunteer was pretty hard, but anyway, it's also not a topic for that. I could make a separate video if you want, guys. And then I went to Switzerland because I really wanted to learn snowboarding. So I bought my own snowboard and I was hustling so badly to just get a volunteering job there, because everybody wants to come to ski and find a way how to make it cheaper. So I ended up also spending there a whole season, like 3 to 4 months. And that's when I flew to America. In America, I was just backpacking out of my own pocket for 2 months. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm spending too much, especially in Hawaii, where eggs were like $18. I was like, what? So I soon enough realized that I had to leave America. And because the political situation there was super tough, it was super tight, I thought, okay, Central America is quite close and I just wanted to leave that continent, So that's why I chose Asia. I knew I would go there eventually, but I was like, this is the time apparently. And I just felt like something was calling me. I really felt like, wow, I could have a great time in Bali. And I don't know why, like this is the first time in my life when I actually had this random feeling that came out to be true. And that's how I left and I went to Asia. And then did I volunteer there? I did not. I did not, because once I checked the hostels, that they were so cool with big swimming pools, with the jungles and everything, and they only cost like $10 per night. I was like, do I want to sacrifice my whole free time to volunteer to get this accommodation for free, or I'd rather just pay like 300 euros per month and do whatever I want. So that's how I just came there, and I thought I'm just gonna, spend my money and be less stressed than I was in America and actually afford that smoothie bowl or something nice. And yeah, I ended up after the surgery spending tons of money there on clothes, on like linen pants, beautiful sets that made by locals. I was going to coffee shops. I was not eating a lot in restaurants. I was eating in the local varums. But in general, I was like, okay, I just survived. I almost lost my life. I'm going to treat myself because I am on the end of the world alone. After the surgery, I just flew from America. Why not? And so you're gonna ask me, how much money have I spent in total and how many countries have I visited? So I have spent around 15,000 euros for a year and a half volunteering and also traveling just by myself out of my pocket. And so I visited 8 states in America: Colorado, California, Hawaii, New York, Florida, Arizona, Las Vegas. What else? Utah. Oh my gosh, how could I forget Utah? I spent a little bit of time in Europe as well, mainly Spain, Canary Islands, and Switzerland. Then I spent 6 months in Bali, and then I traveled to Singapore just for the visa flight. I visited other islands in Indonesia. I also went to Malaysia and then Nepal, like 2 weeks. And then I spent almost a month in India, and then I flew back to Bali again, and then I flew back to Europe, and I spent some time in Italy and Spain. So you can calculate that, and approximately, like I said, I spent 15 or maybe a little bit more, 16,000 euros, but I could have easily done that for 10K, because I think if I skipped America, I could have been traveling in Asia for way longer, which I truly recommend to all of you considering that. Start from Asia. But it was my dream to see New York, California, Hawaii, and Colorado too. And so I went there and I spent a decent amount of money on that dream, but that was my dream and I did it. So I think if I just stick to volunteering and I wouldn't just splash on iced lattes everywhere that I went, it could have been way lower. But I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make this work somehow. I'm gonna become viral on YouTube, or I'm gonna like find a business. I'm gonna open my skin clinic in Bali. I just knew that I would like find a way to extend my budget, which didn't happen because of my injuries that I got. And so I ended up being back in Lithuania right now, but everything is in the future. Everything is awaiting me. I just have to recover now from another surgery that I had because I was skiing in Switzerland and yeah, I broke my knee. So now I'm back in Lithuania. I'm trying to find a job here, earn like 4 or 5K and then leave again for my Kyrgyzstan trip because I just can't stay here for long. It's nice in the summer, but I gotta keep going, and I hope that you will go too. See you, and I hope that one day you're gonna meet me and we're all gonna travel and you're gonna say, wow, Karina, you inspired me so much, or your tips have helped me so much, or I started volunteering because of you. And I really hope that this video has brought some value to you and you feel more connected to me, and now you want to travel and you know that you can do it easily. Ciao.